And let's start with the developments that are underway in Pakistan, where after one of the most intense electioneering campaigns in the nation's history, in what is being dubbed as one of the most controversial elections ever in Pakistan, Pakistan is all set to vote and exercise their franchise today. The voters will be electing their representatives for the National Assembly and also the 4 provincial assemblies for the next 5 years. US President Donald Trump has said that he believes that Russia will in fact work very hard to sway the November US congressional elections in Democrats' favor, but has provided no evidence to back up his assertion. The American intelligence agencies have concluded that Russia had indeed interfered in the 2016 US presidential elections with a campaign of propaganda against Trump's Democratic opponent Hillary Clinton and with the aim of aiding Trump's candidacy. And 2 days after an angry warning to Iran, the US President Donald Trump is keeping the possibility of negotiations for an agreement to denuclearization of Iran still pretty much on the table. He has said that he's ready to make a real deal during a speech to the veterans of the foreign wars. Iran has, however, dismissed Trump's angry warning that Tehran risked dire consequences if it made threats against the United States. Now, the United States Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has said that dismantling of nuclear test sites by North Korea is consistent to the commitments made by Pyongyang during a historic 12th of June summit between the leaders of the two countries. Now, the comments were made during Pompeo's news briefing following a meeting with Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop. Now, Australia has also pledged to support the United States and the international community in holding North Korea to abide by the United Nations Security Council resolutions that ban its nuclear weapons program. Russia's defense minister Sergei Shoigu has said that Moscow will respond if Sweden and Finland were drawn into the NATO alliance, and that such an expansionary move actually undermines global security. Now, the Russian defense minister has also said in the last week's summit in Helsinki between President Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin could actually lead to deeper military cooperation between Russia and the United States as well as the NATO nations. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the Syrian warplane shot down by Israel was actually indeed in gross violation of the United Nations monitored demilitarization zone. The Syrian news agency, however, has said that Israel had targeted the Syrian warplane while it was conducting raids in the Syrian airspace and had not violated the Israeli airspace. Now, the pilot of the warplane was killed after it was shot down. The Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has said on Tuesday that the Israeli law declaring that only Jews have the right to self-determination as citizens legitimizes the oppression and also shows that Israel is a fascist and a racist nation where the spirit of Adolf Hitler has re-emerged. Last week, the Israeli Knesset had passed an extremely controversial nation-state law angering members of the countries of the Arab minority and prompting Turkey to accuse Israel of trying to form an apartheid state. Then what indicates a growing rift in Nigeria's ruling party, 15 senators from President Muhammadu Buhari's party have quit, with the country's third most senior politician saying that he might follow suit as well. The 14 of the total 15 lawmakers who quit have joined the opposition People's Democratic Party, while another senator left while the parliament was in session. Now, the Congolese politician and former warlord John Perry Bemba has said that he will hold talks with other opposition leaders following his return to the country next week in a bid to gather support for his presidential candidacy. Speaking at a news conference in a hotel room in Brussels, Bemba said that he will first register as a presidential candidate at the country's National Electoral Commission just a week before the 8th of August deregistration deadline. India has extended a credit line worth a whopping $200 million to the government of Uganda for the development of infrastructure for dairy development and also the agricultural sector of the African nation. The announcement was made by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his visit to Uganda. And also, the Indian Prime Minister has held high-level delegation talks with the Ugandan President, signing at least 4 memoranda of understanding. The visiting Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday has attended a welcome ceremony held by South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa after he arrived in Pretoria on Monday evening. The President Xi was received by Ramaphosa and also a 21-gun salute at the presidential palace was accorded. After the national anthems of China and South Africa were played, President Xi also inspected the Guard of Honor. The Democratic Republic of Congo has declared an end to an Ebola outbreak believed to have killed at least 33 people in what was the worst flare-up in one of the world's most difficult environments. Tuesday has marked 42 days since the last detected case of the virus, the length of the 2 incubation periods considered long enough to declare an outbreak to be over. The British Prime Minister Theresa May has hailed the British divers as great heroes for their involvement in the rescue of the 12 schoolboys from a flooded cave in Thailand while she hosted them for a reception at 10 Downing Street. Now, all 12 of the boys and also their 25-year-old football coach were rescued safely after a 3-day tedious and difficult operation organised by the Thai Navy SEALs and also an international team of divers. The team has included 11 experts from Britain. The Spanish Coast Guard vessel has rescued at least 135 migrants, including children, who were travelling in 11 toy dinghies in the Strait of Gibraltar. Now, the migrants were wrapped in red blankets and were brought to Tarifa in southern Spain, where they waited to be picked up. Over the weekend, as many as 1,180 migrants trying to reach Europe from North Africa have been rescued by the Spanish Coast Guards in the Strait of Gibraltar and the Alboran Sea. A founding member of the Ukrainian feminist group Femin, Oksana Shako, has been found dead in her apartment in Paris. Anna Hutsol, Femin co-founder and also Oksana's friend, had said that Oksana was a fighter by nature and made her own decisions regarding life and death. Now, coping with a degenerative disease, 41-year-old French professor Albin Tessier has walked across one of the world's most stunning and challenging locations, the Salar de Uyuni salt flats in Bolivia. Now, Tessier, in fact, took 7 days to walk a total of 140 kilometers. The trip forced him to confront temperatures lower than 15 degrees Celsius below zero, and visibility had reached effective zero. Tessier completed the trip with the help of fire. The U.S. First Lady Melania Trump visited a children's hospital in Nashville, Tennessee, as a part of her focus on the nation's opioid crisis. Melania met with medical staff and also played with the children at the hospital. The visit is part of the First Lady's Be Best campaign, which in part focuses on opioid abuse and its impact on children. Indian Home Minister Rajnath Singh has told lawmakers that the government was in fact ready to enact a law in order to curb the rising number of mob lynching incidents that have been taking place across the nation. Singh's response coincides with fresh advisory to the states and also to the police chiefs about specific measures that need to be adopted in the light of the Supreme Court guidelines that have been issued over repeated lynchings that have taken place. The court has also recommended a separate law to deal with the increasing cases of mob lynchings across India. Now, at least 4 people have died and 5 others have been injured on Tuesday after being hit by electric poles while travelling on the footboard of an overcrowded train in India's southern Chennai city. The incident happened in the morning when the victims hit the concrete poles set up along the tracks of the St. Thomas Mount station in the city. While 3 victims died on the spot, 1 succumbed to his injuries while on the way to the hospital, and 2 of the 5 injured are said to be in a critical condition. The truckers' strike across India has entered into its 6th day, hitting the supplies of various items as trucks have stayed off the roads to protest the rising fuel prices. The truck owners have gone on an indefinite strike since the 20th of July, protesting against the government to bring down the price of petrol and diesel, and also a reduction in toll prices that are charged at various toll centres, which is only a fraction of a smaller pickup trucks are in fact operating, and even they are sometimes forced to halt operations following pressure from the truckers' unions. Now, the Indian Army and the Kargil Battle School conducted a demonstration of the 155mm Bofors field howitzer and also carried out high-altitude battle training in Kargil district of Jammu and Kashmir to mark the 19th anniversary of victory in a war with Pakistan in 1999. Now, the soldiers were in fact seen climbing rocks and also relaying their fellow soldiers and conducting mock drills. Well, a prison in India's northern state of Jammu and Kashmir has introduced a series of rehabilitation programs for the inmates in the facility to reform their behavior and help them have self-sustaining future ahead. Now, the authorities in the district jail Ampala in Jammu have in fact initiated recreational activities which include special tailoring, sewing, tuitions, repairing electrical items, and also the training as to how to work in a beauty parlour is also being provided to some of the female inmates. A landslide in the North Indian hill town of Shimla has crushed 2 cars that were parked at the foot of the hill. Excavation of the cars was undertaken by the authorities, and the locals have been rushed in to help in clearing the debris. Although no casualties have been reported, local residents are extremely wary that such an incident could have in fact claimed lives. The landslide occurred after a continuous spell of rain which lashed the resort hill town the previous night. As the prolonged heat wave kept temperatures well above 30 degrees Celsius. In London on Tuesday, the locals stayed out of the sizzling sun and kept themselves hydrated. Police horses also drank from the fountains as Londoners filled their water bottles from taps instead of tanning themselves. The Green Park visitors also chilled on deck chairs in the shade. The public have been advised by the health bodies to stay away from the sun, with the heat wave set to continue until the end of the week. Now, Germany also sizzled yesterday with temperatures soaring to well above 33 degrees Celsius, even as the country's weather department has predicted that the mercury could rise even further to almost about 38 degrees, believe it or not, in Germany by Friday. A meteorologist from the German Weather Service has warned of an increased risk of forest fires and has said that many deaths could in fact be expected. Tips against the heat include keeping all shutters and curtains drawn in the day and drinking enough water. A deadly heat wave has persisted over much of Japan, killing at least about 80 people and sending tens of thousands of others to emergency rooms. Authorities have warned that high temperatures will persist till the beginning of August. After almost 2 weeks of scorching heat, temperatures neared almost about 40 degrees Celsius again on Tuesday in many Japanese cities. The Japanese Meteorological Agency has said that the high temperatures will persist and many areas will see the mercury hit above the 35 degrees Celsius mark. Paris was blanketed in ozone pollution, whose concentration was intensified with a combination of high temperatures and low winds. Ozone, which is a gas created when other polluting gases are exposed to heat, is odorless and colorless but can cause respiratory problems when inhaled in high quantities. With temperatures expected to continue to rise while the winds remain weak, ozone pollution is likely to keep accumulating over the French capital. An under-construction hydro-powered dam has collapsed on Monday in the San-Maxé district of Lao, southeastern Atapio province. Now, the collapse of the hydro-power dam has led to the release of almost about 5 billion cubic meters of water, sweeping away a number of houses, claiming a number of human lives as well, and leaving hundreds of people missing. Well, Greece on Tuesday declared 3 days of mourning over the wildfires that have killed at least about 60 people in towns near Athens. The Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras has said in a televised statement that the deadly fires were an unspeakable tragedy. The wildfire was by far Greece's worst since fires devastated the southern Peloponnese Peninsula in August 2007, killing dozens of people. A sightseeing boat carrying about 52 people, including crew members, burst into flames off the coast of northern Spain on Tuesday. The incident occurred after the catamaran collided with another vessel, leaving 2 people seriously injured with severe burns. The 3 others were also taken to a hospital with less serious injuries. The accident took place in a grove near Pontevedra off the coast of Galicia in northern Spain. The 4-storied building collapsed in Istanbul on Tuesday after a landslide on a construction site weakened its foundation. The area was cordoned off and construction work was halted following the incident. However, no casualties have been reported. With exactly 2 years until the opening ceremony of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, construction work continues in full swing across the city. However, delays at 2 key venues could likely force the organizers to reshuffle the test event schedule, and organizers, however, believe that both venues will be completed well before the Games opening ceremony on the 24th of July 2020, and are apprehensive that the test events might have to be shifted to allow for the delays. The famous landmarks across Japan were illuminated simultaneously to mark 2 years to go until the start of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. The Tokyo Tower and the Yogi Building were 2 of the landmarks that shone in the Japanese capital, while other buildings stretching from the Goryakaku Tower in the northern region of Fukuoka in the south were also lit up in the colors of the Olympic rings. The Tokyo Skytree, the tallest tower in the world, was also illuminated following a countdown event that was held halfway up the 634-meter structure. Alright, let's also take a quick look as to what is making news in the world of sports. And let's start with football, where FIFA have declared a 10-man shortlist for the year's Best Men's Player Award. Cristiano Ronaldo has been conferred the accolade on both occasions since it was introduced 2 seasons ago. The France's World Cup winning teenager Kylian Mbappe and also the Croatian midfielder Luka Modric are set to be amongst the front runners to lift the trophy that will be awarded on the 24th of September. Meanwhile, the nominee list for the FIFA Best Coach is spearheaded by 2 Frenchmen. World Cup winning French coach Didier Deschamps is amongst the favourite alongside fellow compatriot Zinedine Zidane, who has guided Real Madrid to an unprecedented hat-trick of Champions League titles. The Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has called the treatment of Mesut Ozil as unacceptable after the playmaker had to quit international football due to racism. Ozil, a key member of the 2014 World Cup winning squad, resigned from the German national team, citing racism and disrespect from the country's football association. Erdogan has also revealed that he had called Ozil on Monday night and had appreciated the 29-year-old's stance. Well, to some cricketing news now. Team India begins its preparations for the upcoming 5-test series in England with their sole warm-up against Essex starting on Wednesday. The Virat Kohli side are just a week away now from what has been termed as the biggest challenge for the team since Virat Kohli took over the reins in 2015. Well, to some news from the world of entertainment, and pop singer R. Kelly, in his new 19-minute-long song, I Admit, has denied allegations that he ran a sex cult where he imprisoned and sexually abused young women. Now, the lyrics include lines like, I'm so falsely accused. The singer is accused of sexually abusing several women. Now, the Victoria's Secret Angels have arrived fashionably in Hong Kong. Now, the underwear fashion brand is in fact launching its newest shop in Hong Kong and has solicited the help of the 2 angels, the nickname that is given to their models. The models Martha Hunt and also Josephine Scriver made an appearance during the opening. The member of the legendary rock band, the Beatles, Sir Paul McCartney, has returned to the Abbey Road studios, crossing the famous patch of the road immortalised on the Beatles' 1969 album Abbey Road. The rock legend visited the iconic London venue to play an intimate gig for the competition winners. Notably, McCartney is set to release his latest album, Egypt, on the 7th of September.